A great agent is a great connector of people.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dustin Harris hanging out. Just got back from an office, a realtor office, speaking to them. Wanted to share with you a couple things that happened for those of you who are venturing into that world. First, want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by a great company called Spark for Appraisers, folks. That's how you find them, Spark, F-O-R, appraisers.com. I talked to a lot of appraisers who know they should probably get themselves out of their chair, walk out that door, and speak in front of real estate offices. Folks, I have had more success with that activity alone than I think, other than Google, other than my website and people finding me through SEO, than any other private appraisal matter. This is where people find you because agents are connectors. Think about it. When someone is looking for an appraiser, they often will, believe it or not, they don't just go to an appraiser. They go to a real estate agent that they trust, their neighborhood real estate agent, and they say, hey, I need to value my home. I'm going through a divorce. I've got grandma and grandpa just died. We're going through the estate. We need an appraisal done. What is your recommendation? Agents are connectors. They connect other individuals, other professionals. They pride themselves on that, folks. It's a great agent is a great connector of people. I just got back from a local brokerage and I had some prepared remarks, but honestly, folks, I never got to them. In fact, I'll tell you my prepared remarks, I had a slideshow and everything. The name of it was something along the lines of, what is an agent supposed to do with a stupid appraiser? Yes, folks, I do believe in some self-deprecating humor. When it comes to appraisers, there's already a little bit of an elephant in the room. There's already a little bit of tension. I guarantee every single person around that table has had a not so great experience with an appraiser. Unfortunately, that is the world that we live in. And so I own it, right? I just show up and in fact, I actually gave a speech one time in front of a real estate agent that I had a target on my shirt, printed on my shirt, so that when I opened up my blazer, it was like, okay, fire away, here we go. I think humor is a great way to break the ice. I think the opportunity to get in front of an agent is such an important thing, folks. And here's the thing, and I tell my coaching clients this all the time. Don't worry so much about the topic. And today was a perfect example, folks. I came with a prepared set of remarks, a slideshow. I was ready to give a presentation. I never even got to it because I said, before I begin today, what are your questions? Let's start there. Let's put you guys in the driver's seat. And guess what? An hour and 20 minutes later, I was done. And frankly, they were chasing me out the door with more questions. I want to share with you some of the questions that were asked because a couple of things I want to make a point of today. Number one, these questions are not so difficult that they should keep you from going to that office. I hear appraisers afraid to get in front of other agents, in front of professionals, and feel like they're going to look stupid. You're not, folks. Trust me, these questions are easy questions. And number two, these questions I'll just share 3 or 4 that I remember, and I got dozens, maybe 10 to 12 questions that I answered today in about an hour and 20 minutes. These questions might spark your next opportunity to speak in front of a realtor. First, I want to pause and remind you that we are sponsored by Spark. Spark, of course, is what I use to input data into the appraisal. You should be as well. It saves you time, folks. I know it costs money, Dustin. I went on their website and I checked it out and it costs. Yeah, guess what? Everything costs money. That's an investment in you and your business and your productivity. Folks, I promise you, this is an absolute solemn promise. You will spend less money buying Spark than you would spend otherwise doing it yourself or paying someone else to do it. Check them out by going to Spark for Appraisers. That's spelled out, F-O-R, spelled out, spark4appraisers.com. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out. Another quick mini-sode for you. Just got back from a local realtor office, spoke in front of there was eight people in the room. Well, 9 if you count the assistant that was in and out. But 8 agents in front of me around a boardroom table, screen up top. I had a projector ready. I was ready to do my thing. All I got up there was my logo, my name, my contact information. And I said, okay, I've got a prepared set of remarks, but let's start with your questions. Normally, I do my prepared set of remarks and then I open it up for questions. Honestly, it wasn't even something that was planned. I just, on a whim, I was visiting with them before it started. I was getting to know them. And I said, because I'd already been asked like 2 questions before we even started. And I said, let's just start with your question. You got things on your mind. Let's start with your questions. I do that a lot when I'm coaching, right? I've got a roadmap of where I want to go with that particular session, but I start out and say, listen, you're paying me for my time. Let's talk about what's on your mind first, and then we'll get to my agenda. And a lot of times we never get to my agenda because you, great appraisers, have so much on your mind. And guess what? Agents are no different. I want to share with you the questions that came to me today for 2 reasons. Number one, give you a little bit of a hint on what agents are interested in. This might spark your next visit to the Remax or Century 21 or you name it, right? Any of these agencies. Sometimes I've spoken in front of the board of realtors, right? So agents from across the town, across the area could come. That's the one reason. I wanted to give you some ideas onto what you might speak on. But the other thing, folks, I want to make it very clear. So many appraisers are a little bit timid, and I get it, folks. It's public speaking, right? You're in the spotlight. You're the one on stage. That can be freaky, right? I've been doing this many, many years. It still kind of freaks me out when I get in front of people. It just does. I think that's natural, right? And honestly, I think that's good. It gives me a little bit of energy and the ability to channel that into hopefully what's a good presentation. Here are the questions that I got. And again, the second reason I share these with you is I want you to know that you're not going to get asked questions that are difficult to understand. Okay, or difficult to answer is probably a better way to put that. Okay, number one, first thing they wanted to know about was this NAR settlement. You can tell this thing is on agents' minds. I did a podcast just a week or so ago that talked about how agents are losing their minds over this NAR settlement, and they wanted to know how that would affect appraisers. I thought that was an interesting question. I talked a little bit about how we are members of the National Association of Realtors by default. And I talked a little bit about what I spoke on in my podcast about the opportunity to partner with appraisers, right? And to share with them opportunities to work together specifically for buyers, right? Who are looking at purchasing a home, and is there value in getting an appraisal before they make an offer? So we talked a little bit about that. I don't remember if it was the next question, but another question that I got was regarding comps and bringing them to inspections. One individual told a story that he had brought comps, sales, whatever, a stack of papers to the appraisal inspection, and he said that the appraiser was rude. He said the appraiser refused to take them, said that it was inappropriate for me to bring them. He said, I've never been treated like that by an appraiser, and he was curious. And so I eased his mind a little bit and said, well, maybe the appraiser had a bad day, didn't have enough coffee that morning, maybe had too much coffee, whatever. But I talked through that. No, bring your sales. As long as you understand that they're not comps until the appraiser said they're comps, that they're sales. But absolutely, we want more. The more information, the better. As long as there's no pressure and saying, "Hey, you have to use these, and these will come in at my value, and you can't use anything else." I mean, that's a totally different story than saying, "Hey, I did some research, and here you go. I offer this information for you to analyze." Okay. Number 3. Well, I don't know if it's a specific question. There were several questions about valuation, right? Specifically about how would you value this? How would you value that? One had to do with a third car garage. specifically one that had a tandem garage behind, if you will. You know what I'm saying? You've got 3 cars on the front, and then you've got kind of a fourth behind that. And would I, as an appraiser, count that in value? Another question had to do with a fence line issue. That a neighbor had put up a fence several years earlier, and it was obviously like 6 feet onto the subject's property. How do we take care of encroachments like that when it comes to appraisals? And then we got a question, and this was kind of guided by me a little bit because I wanted to get into a little bit about the price per square foot thing. I don't remember the question that came up, but I kind of steered the question in the way of square footage because I like to explain to them that valuing homes by the square foot is like valuing cars by the pound. Is a blog post and a podcast that I did years ago. So those were the main questions. I got a lot of other questions as well, folks, but I want you to stop for just a second and ask yourself, were any of those difficult to answer? Folks, I'm just going to say it. If they are, then maybe we're not doing our job. Those are pretty standard questions. Maybe the NAR settlement thing is a little bit out there and probably not something we thought too much about. But the rest of these things, folks, these are things that we get asked all the time. And that's the thing. Every time I talk in front of realtors, I get pretty standard questions. Don't be afraid to get out there. Put yourself out there and open it up for questions. Normally, when I speak in front of a realtor group, I learned this the hard way. The first time I ever did it, I prepared at least an hour-long presentation, slideshow, everything, right? And I got through maybe 10% of it. The next time, I cut it down to half and then half again. I anymore prepare about I'm not joking, about a 5 to 10 minute lecture, right? A 5 to 10 minute teaching opportunity, because I just know that I'm going to be slammed with questions. And it doesn't matter if it's my first time at that office or my 6th time at that office. Agents have questions for appraisers. By the way, I'm often told that they have these lunch and learns and these educational opportunities often for their agents. And I'm often said, this was the best attended one that I've had in months, right? Appraisers are people with knowledge, right? And agents are people that want that knowledge. They have questions. They have been, quote unquote, treated wrongly by appraisers. They want to know what's up, right? They will approach you. You will have awesome opportunities to share with them. And by the way, here's the other thing I tell my coaching clients, right? Dustin, what if I get asked something that I don't know the answer to? Good. That's a good thing. Why? Because that gives you another opportunity to, quote unquote, touch them, to reach back, to be in their purview again, right? Folks, marketing is all about being known and being known as the expert, okay? Well, Dustin, it's not being known as the expert if the answer is, I don't know. I disagree. I think being known as an expert, you're honest enough to say, you know what, that's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I promise you I'm going to find out, and then I'm going to call you. How's the best way to reach you? And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, or 1 week later, or even 2 days later, they have an answer to their question and they have another opportunity to interact with you. That's good marketing, folks. Get out there, talk in front of agents. It is so, so important. Trust me, folks, this is where the work comes in. And I'm talking about private appraisal work. Speaking of private appraisal work, folks, if you are interested in learning more, and when I say more, I mean I am nothing is barred here, right? We are talking about the in-depth how to get. In fact, the workshop coming up is called Get Started and Succeed in Private Appraisal Work. If you have wanted to get outside of the lender work, outside the AMC world, you want to get in good with realtors and agents and lawyers and you name it, folks. This is the workshop for you. It is going to be Monday, April 15th. Yes, tax day. And Monday, April 22nd. Okay. So 2 different sessions. They're each going to be 2 hours apiece, right? 1 week apart from one another, folks. This is everything that I know, everything that I've taught, all the success that I've seen with private appraisal work. If you are interested in building your portfolio and making more money as a real estate appraiser, the cost is $299, folks, but let me give you a little hint here. First of all, I'm going to give you a coupon code. Ready? The coupon code is Succeed 10, write that down. It's all caps, by the way. Succeed, the word succeed, the number 10, succeed 10, no space, no underlines, no hyphens, succeed 10. That'll give you 10% off, folks. But I'll tell you what, if you are interested in 25% off, okay, let me give you a little hack. Go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, click on joining the All-Star team. Join the All-Star team. It is free for the first month, okay? Follow me. Join the All-Star team. It is free for the first month. You will get a coupon code for 25% off in Get Started and Succeed in Private Appraisal Work. This workshop coming up, it is absolutely 25% off. And if you don't like the All-Star team after a month, you won't. I mean, you will. You'll stay with me. You know what I mean. You can cancel. 25% off by joining the All-Star team, or 10% off by using Succeed 10.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.